Picture heaven for a second. Go on, actually picture it. If what came to mind was clouds, harps, and people in white robes floating around forever, I have good news. That picture is not in the Bible, not one piece of it. Not the clouds, not the harps, not the floating. It came from Renaissance paintings and cartoons, and it has quietly made a lot of Christians dread the very thing they are hoping for. Because if I am honest, that version sounds boring. An eternity of sitting on a cloud doing nothing. If that thought has ever crossed your mind and made you feel guilty, relax. You were reacting to a picture that was never true. So let's replace it with the real one. And the real one is far stranger and far better. Let's start with the single biggest surprise. The Bible does not end with people going up to heaven. It ends with heaven coming down to earth. Revelation 21. John writes, I saw a new heaven and a new earth, and then I saw the holy city, the new Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God. Read the direction of travel there. Down, not up. The story does not finish with everyone evacuating a doomed planet. It finishes with God moving in, repairing the place, and then living here, with us permanently. The very next line says it plainly. Look, God's dwelling place is now among the people, and He will dwell with them. That is the point of the whole thing, not a location, a person. Heaven is wherever God is fully present, and the promise is that one day that will be right here. Now, this raises the obvious question. What about when you die? Because that is what most people actually mean when they ask about heaven. And the Bible does answer it, but it gives you two answers, not one, and mixing them up is where most of the confusion comes from. There is where you go when you die, and there is where everything ends up. They are not the same place, and the second one is the bigger promise. Take the first. When the thief on the cross next to Jesus asks to be remembered, Jesus tells him, today you will be with me in paradise. Today. Not eventually. Not after a long sleep. That day. And Paul says he would rather be away from the body and at home with the Lord. So the Christian who dies is immediately with Jesus, conscious, safe, at home. But listen to how Paul talks about it. He calls it better by far, and he also calls himself unclothed, waiting to be clothed. Even that is not the finish line. The finish line is resurrection, your body back and made new. That is the part people find hardest to believe, so let's slow down. 1 Corinthians 15, Paul says the body is sown perishable and raised imperishable, sown in weakness, raised in power. Same body, transformed, not swapped for a ghost. And you can see it in Jesus after he rose. He was not a spirit. He told them so directly, and then he ate a piece of fish in front of them to prove it. His friends recognized him. He had hands you could touch. Whatever your resurrection body is, that is the model. Physical, recognizable. You, but working properly for the first time. So what is actually there? Revelation 21, verse 4. This one is worth hearing slowly. He will wipe every tear from their eyes. There will be no more death or mourning or crying or pain, for the old order of things has passed away. Notice that it is not a list of nice additions. It is a list of subtractions. Everything that currently ruins being alive is removed. Death, grief, crying, pain. Gone, not managed, not compensated for. Gone. And then one line that is easy to skip past. In chapter 22, it says, they will see his face. Every time somebody in the Bible gets close to God's presence, they hit the floor. Moses is told he cannot see God's face and live. Isaiah falls apart in the temple. And at the end, that barrier is simply gone. You will look at him directly and be fine. All right, but what will you actually do there? And this is where the cloud picture has done the most damage, because people assume the answer is nothing. Isaiah 65, describing the world to come, says they will build houses and dwell in them. They will plant vineyards and eat their fruit. Building, planting, eating. Ordinary good, physical work that lasts and does not get taken away from you. Jesus talks about a feast. He says people will come from east and west and take their places at the table. He tells his friends he will drink wine with them again in his Father's kingdom. Every picture he uses is a party, a meal, a wedding, a homecoming. Not one of them is a cloud. Which brings up the question people ask me most and are sometimes embarrassed to ask. Will I know the people I love? Yes, and the Bible is not vague about it. When Jesus is transfigured on the mountain, Moses and Elijah appear beside him. Moses had died roughly 14 centuries earlier, and Peter, who had obviously never met either of them, knows exactly who they are. Paul puts it another way. He says, "Now we see only a reflection as in a mirror, but then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known." Fully known, not less of a person than you are now. More. And the place itself gets described, which surprises people. Revelation 21 measures the city and then describes it in gold and jewels. The great street of the city is pure gold, clear as glass. The gates are pearl. The foundations are laid with stone after stone of color. Then one small detail that is easy to miss and tells you almost everything. It says the gates will never be shut. Gates get shut against a threat. These do not close, ever, because there is no longer anything out there to fear. Isaiah adds the animals. The wolf will live with the lamb. The leopard will lie down with the goat. Whatever else that is, it is a picture of a world where nothing has to eat anything else to survive. Now the objection almost nobody says out loud. Won't it eventually get boring? I think that fear is honest, and it comes from a real place. Everything good in this life fades if you have it long enough. Every holiday ends, every song wears out, so an eternity of anything sounds exhausting. But look at why things fade here. They fade because they are finite, and because you are. You reach the bottom of them. You are being offered a person who does not have a bottom. There is no point at which you have finished exploring God. Boredom is what happens when you exhaust something, and this is the one thing that cannot be exhausted. Now let me be honest about the limits, because a lot of teaching on this quietly oversells. Paul writes, "No eye has seen, no ear has heard, and no human mind has conceived the things God has prepared for those who love Him." That is a real limit, and it should stay. We are not given a floor plan. Anyone who tells you exactly what your house looks like is making it up. But notice what kind of limit it is. It is not saying it will be less than you imagine. It is saying it will be more than you can imagine. Those are opposite problems, and only one of them is worth worrying about. So here is the picture, put back together. Not clouds, a new earth, not evacuation. God moving in, not a ghost. Your own body, raised and working, not silence. A feast and work worth doing, not distance, His face. And if you have lost someone, hear the part underneath all of this. The promise is not that you will float somewhere pleasant. It is that death gets undone. Every tear wiped, the old order gone. That is what you are actually being offered. It was never the cloud. If this helped, hit like and subscribe. It genuinely helps this reach the person who needed it today.